Hey guys, this is a training on mindset, especially when it comes to overcoming resistance and especially when it comes to DMing prospects and doing your DM based outreach and looking to book sales calls. Right now, it's no secret that communication is a key element of coaching. And if you're not effective at communicating, it's very hard to help people achieve things, right? It's difficult to coach if you're not a good communicator. That comes as no surprise, right? So it follows that communication is also a very important part of building a coaching business. In order to have sales, we have to have sales calls. In order to have sales calls, we have to have conversations. And in order to have those conversations, we have to reach out to our prospects and communicate with them. So I understand that if, like I said, if you're not used to doing it, if you're not good at communicating in this way, if reaching out to people and having these conversations and finding out about their pain points makes you uncomfortable, then there's naturally going to be a lot of internal resistance when it comes time to start doing this kind of work. And that's normal, right? That anything in life that we need to do, anything that we're not good at, that we're trying to learn or trying to improve upon, there's always going to be that resistance when we think about doing it. So it leads us to procrastinate, it leads us to put things off, it leads us to look for distractions, anything to avoid doing the uncomfortable work, right? If you think about your clients as a coach, your clients have to face this same resistance when it comes to going through their own transformation, whatever it may be, whether they're trying to learn a language, whether they're trying to improve at dating, or whether they're trying to get in better physical shape, whether it's lose weight, build muscle, improve their fitness, right? Anything that involves a process of, going through a process of learning and improvement, it's always going to come with a bit of discomfort and a bit of resistance. And going through the DMs is no different. So today I'm going to help you with a few strategies that I like to use that can help you develop a strong mindset and put you in the right frame of mind to be successful at your DMs and to go into the DMs with the right intention and to basically not wish for instead of wishing for that resistance to not be there, to embrace the resistance and overcome it and accept it as a normal part of the process. So the first thing that I want to talk about is setting an intention, right? So most coaches that I talk to who go into this process, who haven't previously been very good at DMing or they kind of tended to avoid it, or it's not something they've done before, they say, right, I'm going to start DMing. And they go into it with the intention of getting sales. So when they think about talking to their audience and building relationships with their prospects, and they go into it with the express purpose and the express intention of getting sales as a direct result. Now, while obviously sales is something that we want as a result of communicating with our prospects in this way, it can be kind of discouraging when we don't get those immediate wins, we don't get those immediate sales. Because the truth is, talking to people in the DMs, talking to prospects in the DMs, it doesn't always translate immediately into sales. The truth is, some people take a while to buy. Some people take a while for that relationship to get nurtured. They take a while to develop that trust in you. It takes a while to build that rapport and establish that connection with somebody to the point where they're comfortable buying from you, especially if you're selling more of a high ticket, product. So I think it's good to set a healthy intention and a clear intention, and set an intention that's going to set you up for success, right? And a good intention to set is to serve, right? Essentially, to aim to understand the person you're talking to. So we want to seek to understand, and we want to seek to basically find out more about their problems, find out more about the problems that our coaching is going to solve for the person we're speaking to. So if we set the intention of finding out more, seeking to understand, and seeking to help, then we're going to be much better set up for success. And we're not going to be setting ourselves up for disappointment, right? Because when we set an intention that's too great, like for example, if I talk to 20 people today, then hopefully I'm going to get a sale. And then if I do that and I don't get a sale, then I'm going to be disappointed. And the disappointment is going to further reinforce the resistance that I feel when I think about DMing. So we want to break out of that cycle by setting a healthy intention. So I hope that makes sense. And hopefully that's helpful in regards to helping you guys set a more realistic and a more healthy intention that helps you tackle the DMs every day, whether you feel like it or not, because a lot of times you're not going to feel like it, right? So one of the other things I want to touch on is discipline, right? Now, you guys are coaches, you have clients who are trying to achieve things. You're teaching your clients how to overcome certain problems and how to achieve certain goals. A lot of the goals that you're teaching your clients to achieve are going to require discipline. Discipline is basically just the act of doing something that you don't feel like doing. So again, discipline is essentially just overcoming resistance regarding a certain task and effectively completing that task, whether you feel like it or not. So I find that discipline is a very important part of growing a business. It's a very important part of overcoming resistance and doing those things inside of your business that you don't always feel like doing, just like you're helping your clients do things inside of their life that they don't always feel like doing. So my favorite way to develop discipline comes with managing goals, right? So similar to the intention. I mean, we want to set a healthy intention, but we also want to set a realistic, healthy goal for ourselves. So when it comes to DMing, if you're not used to it, if you're not good at it, if you're not comfortable doing it, and if there's resistance around it, it's probably best to not set a huge lofty goal. It's probably best to go into it not expecting to be able to do 20, 30 DMs per day. If you're just starting out and it scares the hell out of you, it's probably better to set up a smaller, manage your expectations and manage yourself with a smaller goal. Maybe set a goal of, okay, today I'm going to talk to 5 people. Today I'm going to talk to 7 people, right? Something realistic that you're confident that you can actually do, even if you don't feel like it. The idea is, and here's the important part, when you successfully complete that task that you set for yourself, when you successfully complete that goal, make sure you celebrate. Now, I know it sounds silly, but celebrating when we achieve a goal that we set for ourselves helps to establish self-trust, right? The whole dynamic of procrastination and, putting things off and not doing what we set out to do and not achieving goals that we set for ourselves ultimately comes down to self-trust. Now, if you've set a big goal for yourself, and I'm sure that you can relate to this with your clients as well, your clients are, often go through a similar process. If I set a goal to do 20 DMs, if I say I'm going to send out 20 DMs today, and when I think about it, I'm dreading it, and I get up in the morning and I put it off and I put it off and I put it off and I don't get to it till later, and then I finally get to it and I sit down and look at it, and the 20 DMs just seems too daunting, so I end up not doing it. What happens? Well, I feel bad about not doing it. And I've produced data that proves that I'm essentially not worthy of my own trust. That's what it comes down to. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. So I'm demonstrating to myself that I can't be trusted. So what does that do for my confidence? Well, it reduces my confidence. It reduces my trust in myself. So then tomorrow, when I go to complete that same task, I'm even less likely to do it because it's like I've gained negative momentum, right? And I've shown myself that I'm not doing what I said I'm going to do. So I feel bad about it. I take less action, and then I beat myself up about it, and then I take even less action. And it's like this downward spiral of reducing diminishing self-trust. Hands up if that sounds familiar, if that's something you've been through in your life, or if that's something you've witnessed your clients go through in the pursuit of their goals too. It's a very common part of human behavior. So the answer is, like I said, to set small goals. We want to set goals that we know, we have quite a lot of confidence that we can do that, even if we don't feel like it. So if 20 DMs seems daunting and you find yourself putting it off, you find yourself not really following through with completing that goal, maybe you might start with 5 DMs a day and then make gradually and then gradually increase it. And here's the important part. When you successfully complete the goal you set for yourself, whether it's, let's say, 5 DMs, let's say you successfully do the DMs that you said, you did the 5. It's important that you celebrate. It's important that you fist bump or you get up and cheer, or you pat yourself on the back. Do some kind of physical celebration ritual that's gonna increase your dopamine, right? That's the reward hormone, the reward chemical that our brain releases when we complete a task that means something to us, something that's important to us, especially something that was challenging and difficult or significant to us, that's working towards something of significance, right? So give yourself that mini celebration, that mini pat on the back, that mini cheer, right? And then after you complete that for a few days, set a slightly higher goal, maybe 7, maybe 10, right? Same thing, repeat that for a few days. And what's happening is it's the opposite of what I was speaking about before. Instead of losing trust in yourself and losing confidence, you're gaining trust in yourself. You're gaining confidence, you're gaining momentum. And when you successfully complete that small goal, it's like climbing that first rung on a ladder. Instead of the first rung of the ladder being like 6 feet off the ground, you can just step onto it. So you complete that goal successfully, you gain confidence in yourself, you demonstrate to yourself that you are worthy of your own trust. You followed through and you did what you said you were going to do, right? So you gain confidence, you gain trust in yourself, and you're able to set progressively bigger goals and go from there. So that's a huge strategy I like to use to build discipline towards any given task. And this works in any area of life, not just business, but it also works in fitness. It works in learning an instrument, learning a language, anything that requires a lot of practice, anything that requires doing uncomfortable work. This is a great strategy to get you to take action. So far we've talked about overcoming resistance. We've talked about developing discipline. We've talked about setting a good intention. Just remember that the resistance is always going to be there, right? That's the other thing I want to talk about is embracing that resistance. So the resistance is always going to be there. That feeling of kind of dread when you think about a task that you struggle with or it makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Whether you develop more confidence in completing this task or not, the resistance is still going to be there inside of your business somewhere, right? There's always going to be resistance that rears its ugly head at different times. So instead of going through life every day just kind of hoping that the resistance isn't going to be there, it's better to expect it to be there and embrace it and deal with it head on using a good strategy like the ones that I've spoken about today. So there's one more thing that I want to talk about, and that is setting an anchor. So there's an anchor. I studied NLP in 2015, and one of my favorite techniques that I learned from NLP is anchoring. Now, an anchor is essentially anything that puts you in a certain mood or a certain state by association, right? So, for example, you might smell a certain food cooking that reminds you of a memory when you were a child, or might make you happy, or you might hear a song that was in a really sad movie, and when you hear that song, it reminds you of that sad scene in the movie. You might feel a bit sad when you hear that song, right? An anchor is any trigger that you associate with a particular memory or a particular state or physiological state, whether it's happy, whether it's sad, whether it's angry, whatever it is. The idea here is to use anchors to your advantage by setting a positive anchor that you associate with the uncomfortable task of DMing, right? So an example might be, each time you sit down to do your DMs, you might listen to your favorite album, right? It puts you in that focused, happy mood, right? You might eat your favorite snack, or you might even just have a cup of coffee to put you in that productive state, to put you in that positive mood, ready to tackle the task, right? And then there's more advanced methods of creating anchors where, I have one where I touch my knuckle, and it reminds me of the time when I won a martial arts tournament. And when I touch that knuckle, it brings back that memory. And I set that anchor myself using my NLP training. And it's a really powerful anchor that I like to use when I'm about to have a challenging call, or when I'm about to have a sales call or something like that, when I need to be pumped up and I need to be, ready to bring my A game and energize myself. That works really well too. So there are a lot of different anchors that you can use. It just depends on what works for you, but it's one of my favorite tips for getting me and getting you into the right frame of mind and into the right state to have a productive time and to stop procrastinating and to get done those uncomfortable tasks that you'd otherwise put off. So I hope that helps. Those are a few tips for helping you conquer the DMs, helping you overcome that fear, and helping you overcome that procrastination and that resistance that we all experience at times. But I find a lot of coaches commonly experience these things when they think about reaching out to their prospects and DMing their prospects and building relationships through the DMs. So just to summarize, we want to set a good intention, right? Set a realistic and heart-centered intention. So instead of trying to get sales, think about, let's see how we can help these people. Let's see how we can get to know these people and get to know about their problems, and then find out if I can help and how I can help. Right? That's a good intention to set. So how can I best serve my audience? How can I get to know my audience better? How can I get my audience to trust me and like me more? Right? That's a good intention. Second thing we talked about was developing discipline in order to build self-trust and overcome resistance, right? Building discipline by setting smaller goals. So that's another good one. Setting those small goals and gradually building up as you develop self-trust and as you develop that confidence in yourself from successfully doing what you said you were going to do. So developing that micro accountability over time. And then we talked about anchors. So we talked about using something positive like a song or a certain type of food or a certain ritual. That's up to you. It can be whatever you want, but just anything that gets you in that positive, productive, physiological and mental, emotional state, ready to conquer the task at hand. So those are some tips. Hopefully that was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Take care.